been so much that has come up, but you'll love today. So big breath. Slowly let go. Another breath. Let's hold it a little bit longer. Go. Becoming more present. Yeah. One more. We are ready to begin. We are so pleased that you are here, and we have waited for you your entire life. Now, we must tell you that Roger has said those words every time you've shown up, and he never knew why he was saying them completely until last night. We've always said we go to extraordinary lengths to bring you information to help you move beyond your fear and doubt, and that's what many of you have had, especially recently. The doubt has been too great, and the fear has been growing. And so we thought we had to do something that was going to help all of you move into more of yourselves, because that's why you're here. You're on the earth now. You're in the world now because you came to make a contribution, and the contribution is you. The contribution is every aspect of you, and we've worked so hard to get you to understand that. And some of you have moved a bit, but some of you are still stuck, and Roger was stuck, so we thought we need to really open up so much more. And we're going to give you a little example because, again, the belief is what has been lacking for all of you. You don't know your importance. You don't understand how essential you are at being in your world now. We've said you're going through a restructuring, a major restructuring. While it's happened before on your planet, nothing like this, as we've said. And so there was extraordinary help that you needed. So we brought Roger in. He didn't know why that was happening, but we told him last night we had to show him all of it so that you could all believe. We kept talking about our program, but he couldn't really get you to understand how vital that would be to your existence right now because he didn't know. And so we thought, okay, let's move it up again. We give you things in increments, and you develop in increments. You are on a physical life journey that you're evolving all the time, but you only notice it at particular times. But there are certain times in your journey and that of your world where it becomes more imperative that you do know it. And this is that time. This is the time that you meant to awaken to a whole new aspect of who you are. And it is wonderful. We even had him put up there, you are perfect. We hadn't put it on the program. You are perfect because we wanted you to understand that. So nothing has happened in your life that has been accidental or a mistake, nothing. And this is the place where we wanted you to understand so you could bring your energy into the world because you are moving, you're here to help bring in a new world. That is what is happening. That's why you're having the chaos. That's why you're having all the things going on in your world, but you wanted that. See, because if you were here, it was going to be different. If you actualized who you were, then the world that you're going to leave to those others and your kids, your grandkids, it's going to be so much more wonderful as you want it. But you still the doubt and the belief. So what we did, we've been working on this. You have to forget about time again, because the time linear time is what humans use, and you get confused with that. So we have to kind of skate around that. However, what we did a few days ago, we started sending Roger messages because we wanted him to know where we were going. And the way that we did that is that we had him see repeating numbers all over the place. We'll show you some of them because we want you to see it. We really need you to understand this. Now, Roger has become very receptive. He's always been that. He's been that for many lifetimes, but he's really receptive. And so he didn't know why this was happening, but he knew it was happening for a reason. And so he took his phone and he went around. Every time he saw those numbers, he took little shots of it. because he knew it was going to be important to tell you something. You see, that's why he did it. All of this is for you. His mission here is to help you evolve and understand who you are and own who you are, because you're going to help move the world forward. That's what's happening. And so we have to go through these elaborate links for him and for you. And so having him see all these numbers, and he just goes around and he just says, okay, I'll take pictures. They'll show me eventually. That was last night. And so then what we did, we're saying this because each of you, you thought that something was a mistake in your life, or you went in the wrong place. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. You're figuring it out now, and we've given you something to help you do that. But regardless, you didn't make a mistake either. No. This is the time that you meant to awaken to who you are. Now, you have free will, however. You don't have to do it. It's up to you. We've told you also, we've used Roger as an example. We've talked about all the times when your world has changed, and there were instances where he knew that was occurring, but he couldn't allow himself to move there because he wasn't ready. And that's what you'll come to understand. You each have times within your life, your evolutionary journey, where things will open up, where you're ready, where you'll move and all of that. However, we will say that if you're here, if you're listening to us, if that's going on, you're here in the world because you came to make a difference. There are no accidents. You've never been in an accidental place. So as we did that last night, he thought, oh, I need to rest. I need to relax. And so he was taking something to try to help himself go to sleep. And all of a sudden he felt something really weird in his body. Now, let's tell you what we did before, though. We had him start to write something, and we want you to understand this is going to be great for you, your family, and your world. We said, we're going to have you write how to end divisions in families, how to end the division in your family, because it's going to come up because you're all going to need this one. So we thought, why don't we get a head start on it? Why don't we just start showing him now? And so he's writing this, and he says, okay, the way that you do this is that each person will present their information. They'll present their opinion, because see, we're talking about division. We're talking about the separation. And so each person will state their opinion and why they think that this is their right position. And then the next person will state their position. But the thing is, you can't do it with anger. You can't use any anger. and you just keep doing that. And then you keep going until you come to a conclusion. You will come to a conclusion. You will come to a resolution. And we even gave you that in your life operating instructions. But you will figure this out. Because what happens is, if you're not using the anger, the darkness falls away, because the only thing that stays is the light. And we said at the end, you said, we gave you this and we attracted you all in because we talked about you healing division in a family, because we thought that would get you. But no, what you're supposed to do is extend that to your world, because that's why you're here. And we're giving you something now because you're going to see much more division, much more fighting and all of that. And you have to remember your role is to own who you are, evolve, because you also came in to develop a little more courage, each of you. You came to develop more courage. It's been difficult for you because you've been looking at everyone else and you've been not wanting to speak your mind, but you will. But you'll do it in a way that's loving. You'll do it in a way that will serve your purpose, because your purpose now is to help move this world forward so you can create a better one. That's what you're all doing. So as that was happening, and Roger was about to get up, he was on his bed at this point, he was holding his iPad, and he had a video playing, and he was getting up, and then that's when we got him. We did. He got this feeling, and he didn't know what it was. He says, is it because of what I took? No, it wasn't that. It was us. He was going to attribute it to that, like many of you attribute some of your physical things to something outside of you, but it's always within you. And so then, as he started to try to move, we made him sick. He couldn't get up. He had all this upset stomach and all these things. And then he said, okay, just lie there. And then we took him to a video where we told him, We said in the video. Now, you see, this is what's so difficult for humans to believe, that these kinds of things could occur, which is why you've had difficulty believing why you're here and what you're meant to do, and that wonderful project you had, that you put away, that you couldn't get done, or that dream career that you thought wasn't going to happen. Yes, it is. But we thought, let's have him open up and see this now. So as he starts listening, we told him, we had you see numbers for synchronicity so that you would pay attention. If you remember, we said months ago you would begin seeing synchronicities, and so many that it would be challenging for you not to ignore them, but they're just to get your attention so that you understand the magnificence of who you are and why you're in the world now. Because you've had instances where you felt things and you pushed it away. And that's why you brought Roger. See, because we told you this too, and this was confirmed, and we're going to, one day, we're going to have him put together a little a video of this. It would be so much fun because he was answering at the end of the video. We said, okay, now you've done this in your life, right? Go, great, you're over. Now you've done this in your life, right? Yes, done. Now you've done this, yeah, right. Great, now you're ready for the abundance. That's what you're each doing, see? And that's why you're here. We're speaking of this because we're going to go back to money, because we wanted him to hear that last night. He couldn't understand why we kept talking about money for our program. It was because you're all supposed to move into more abundance. That is the shift in your world that is taking place. It's a wealth and income redistribution that needs to happen now because it's been completely off balance. And Roger remembers this. Now, when we said that he had ancient wisdom, he pushed back on that. He got, that's not possible. That's not him. Just as you've pushed back on the thing that you've been given, that you know is in front of you, that you're supposed to do, but you've been afraid. And that's why you're seeing Roger. That's why you didn't accidentally meet him. Nothing in your life has been that way. You met him because he was going to bring you this extra comfort if you're willing to move, if you're willing to do something. That's what it was. And he had to work through this. Now, he knows, and we've said this in the last one of our sessions, we told you that he worked through all these things earlier in his life, and then he started clearing up because that was part of his evolutionary journey. And he needed to do that so he could be here now to aid all of you. He's had many lifetimes. He knows that. He doesn't have any memory of those. He just has faint memories, just like you each do. That is why we had him do the Akashic record readings, 2 of them. Just to kind of break through. We've done all of this for years and years, decades, eons. It's been all of that. The time, that's what we said a long time ago, that trying to explain time to you is really confusing. So we only need you to know that the time is now. The time is now. And again, you're hearing it because your higher self is telling you, yes, we wanted you to get on with it. We wanted you to start accepting yourself more. We wanted you to start believing, because we knew that if you did that, you would inject this kind of energy into your world that would start to end the war. Now that seems so weird to say, except Roger heard it last night again, and he's known it always. We've been giving it to him. He wrote something in 2015 where we gave him a memory of that. Because see, when you shift the energy of the world, you don't fight one another. It takes time. You've not done that. That's why it keeps going on. We've talked about all of it, even with your pandemic. All of that was to cause you, as we said, it wasn't about the illness. It wasn't about the disease, the virus. It was about none of that except you developing your soul, you developing your spirit and knowing why you're here and leaving that essence in the world, because that makes it better. Now, we can say that because we know that each of you who would be here, there's no accidents, would be wanting to offer something wonderful to your world, something good, something that of value, something that meant something. But you had the doubt. You had the fear and doubt. And so we keep bringing these things up to get you to move beyond that. And we did this because we felt the urgency, and Roger's felt it all along. When you look at your world and you see what's happening, you thought, well, what's going on? Well, we already told you what was going to happen. We told you that a couple of years ago. We said, you come out okay. We told you the ending. We've already told you the ending. The only question is, how long will it take? Because you all have free will, and collectively it comes together to manifest your world. That's what happens, and it happens over and over and over again. You're here at a particular time where your world is going through a big change, but we're saying that it's going to be so much better if you do your part. But you think your part is too big, and it isn't, because all it is becoming yourself. That's it. That silly idea that you had about doing something is the one that you meant to bring to the world. And it's not silly. You're meant to do it, because in that endeavor, you're going to use some creative juices that causes your world to evolve. Each of you. But you've had so many different ideas about that. We told you that we put so many people into the program because you all have infinite intelligence. That was number one that we gave you January 1st of 2012, infinite intelligence. You all have it. All you have to do is decide that you do and be willing to tap into it. Be willing to receive it, actually. That's what happens. And so we said we put all these different people in there. But Roger, the most important one that we wanted for all of you, it was the last one that he really looked at. And that was Alfred Adler. So we had him do that the other night. We had him go back and look, and then he started seeing similarities. So it's exactly what we have in the program. And it's evolved because we always put in more. When you come in, whatever time that is, you take the information, the wisdom, the knowledge from all those who came before you, put your stamp on it, you create something new, and your world evolves. We've said that, and that's what he did. But the one aspect that he didn't use, which we wanted him to talk about more, was Alfred Adler. I mean, all of these things led together. He can see the connection to all of them now. He can see the connection to all of his life now, and that's what we want for each of you. But when we took him to Alfred Adler, he said, okay, now I understand. See, because Adler had this trauma. We want you all to get over your trauma, because you each have it. Sometimes you're born into it, but sometimes you experience it during your lives. But we wanted him to see that, because when Adler was a child, he had an older brother, but he didn't make it. He died. And Alfred saw that, and it impacted him. And then he went through his life having all these other little illnesses, these diseases. And then he cleared up later in his life, just like Roger. Wow, what a coinky-dink. Yes. No, we're going to keep these fun, because that's the other thing. We have to move you to that as well. And so as he's watching this, he's saying, oh, that explains my drive for wanting to help people. See, because that's what Adler did too. He didn't want people to suffer. He went through so much. So he got that this lifetime for him was about helping people move through that. And that's what Roger's been doing always. Except we had to change things because he's also been off balance, as we've said. We kept talking about changing the price of his program because he didn't have any money. He was never going to do that until he knew the value. He wanted to know the validity. He wanted to know that this was real. And so that's why we had to come through last night and just tell him the entire thing. We timed it all, and it's time exactly at the right time for your world, this galactic shift and the eclipse, all of it. Now we want you to see something else, because again, to cause wrestle your disbelief to the ground, so to speak. We kept telling him we gave you everything in 2012, but we knew you weren't going to be finished then, so we kept going into 2013. And so he says, no, that couldn't have possibly happened. And we said, yes, it did. So we said, now go find what we gave you on this date, because he didn't know what to call it today. He planned it. He just like thought, okay, I think this is the title of today. And it is exactly that title. We want each of you to allow yourself to become successful. Each of you, because you've been holding back, and the holding back has been just not owning who you are. That's all. Because if you did that, you would have all the success you want. But you make these different judgments, just as Roger did. He didn't have a memory of what he was doing this lifetime, so he didn't know what was going on. He wasn't supposed to. None of you do. You don't have the memory because you want to have the experiences, see? And the experience is what causes you to evolve. And that's why you're each here, to offer your experience. We've given you so many messages over the years too to get you to understand this. We've talked about individuation. We even had him write a message one morning that was about baking a cake. You know that you have all these different ingredients that you put in to get a particular taste. And so you put the ones in, you know it's going to make the cake better. Your world does that as well. It called you in at the right time. The world knew that it needed you to balance out this particular recipe of this cake so you could create a new world that's going to be better. That's what's happening. And so we just had to keep going on this because Roger was getting frustrated. He gets anxious because he can see what's happening. And he knows that he's not worried about it going away, but he just knows that all of you would be so much better if more of you moved, if more of you became who you were meant to, the tension would go away. That's why we had him writing the thing about the division. And we're saying it now because we're just using your human actions to tell you this, but you're going to have much more of the division moving forward, and you will have division in your families and all of that, but you're supposed to. That's why you pick them. That's why you pick this time, so that you would have contrast to develop you, so to put into the world who you are. That's why you're here. We've told you over and over again, there are no hierarchies of souls. There just isn't. There's no soul that is better or has more than you. It's just different. That's what we kept telling you. You're unique and the same. Your uniqueness is what is needed here in this world. And we've taken back to several messages that we gave back in 2012 about that very thing. And that's why we had to put it on the site. We want you each to know this, because the main thing that happens is your judgment. Your judgment. That's why your world is in this state now, because of judgment. It is. You'll look at someone, that's wrong. You look at that, and it's going on all the time, and it became worse. And we will say it because you all know it. It became worse because of your social media. Yeah, it did. Because you have technology now, but you're not using it in a way that could really benefit you all the time, because you learn things about your human operating system, the way that things go on. You recently started learning about how your brain works and how it's programming everything. You see, but we knew that a long time ago. We gave you that in the very beginning, because that's why we led him back, to understand that he had the knowledge and the benefit of all that ancient wisdom. That was the point of bringing up the Hermetic principles, because they're all in there. All of that is in our work, but it's evolved, you see, because it was meant to. You're each here to evolve. That's the other thing. We had to reveal this as well, because Roger's always had this trouble with your churches, with the religions. Not your churches. We love what you do in terms of wanting faith and developing things. However, you've taken your churches and you've used them as weapons against others. And that's why you have conflict, because you'll judge, this is not right. How do you know? You see? When you're judging another, you're judging yourself. That's what's going on. And so until you come together, your world doesn't change. You have to heal all the division within you. We've said that over and over again. And that's what we're going to keep working with. Because you're supposed to be happy. You're supposed to be living a magnificent life. You're supposed to have everything that you want, all the abundance ever. But now's the time that you can have it. This is why we told them there are many working as we are here. There's certain things that we have not given Roger yet, because he still denies this. He's this direct descendant, you see. So we have to keep inching it in there until he accepts more. But you do the same thing. We gave you that as well in your life operating as stretched, so you wouldn't judge yourself. We told you that you move in increments, progression. But as long as you're moving, that's okay. It's the movement that is important, however. So as we went through all of this, we had to bring him back to this place of understanding that everything he has said, and we want you all to hear this, because everything he said in all these thoughts, he didn't know. He didn't know if it was real. He just said, that's interesting. That's something. That's really cool. Well, last night he knew it was real. Because we had to lift the veil, as you've all thought of it. Not that difficult, but it takes time. The veil gets lifted when you are willing to uncover who you are. That's all that happens. And that is a process of you moving through your life, understanding what you've been given to work with and making the best of it. That's every single person. And not, as we've said, not everyone will do that. And that's why you're here. You're here, you have a very different kind of memory of what's going on. Subtle at times, but it's there because you felt it within yourself. You said, this isn't supposed to be happening. Things should be better. People should be loving one another. This, you felt all of that. And then you got pissed off when you looked at your world and you saw it not happening. And you got pissed off because it was you not doing it. And that's what's going to happen now. And then as that happens, we want you to bring in all the money. Again, this is why we told Roger, you're changing this. And you'll see so much of this. As you look at your world, you'll see, well, not in certain spaces, but you'll see in spaces such as ours, all of those who are feverishly working to cause more of you to understand that that is what is meant to happen for you now, because you've been through so much. You've done so much in your lives. You've suffered. You've had all these tragedies. You've had all kinds of stuff. You deserve a break today. That's what's happening. Yeah, we love using those things, those colloquial things that you will some of you will get. However, this is the time that you, if you choose, because you have free will, you do not have to move at all. But if you do, you'll have the best life ever, because the energies of this world are behind you. As you know, we've connected everything to all what you use, human measurements, but even astrology. You can see all of this if you look at your astrological events, and this is a very different time. And you've moved into this cooperative time, which is supposed to happen, your age of Aquarius, as we've said. And this is why we brought Daryl. We wanted to say his name because we're so pleased that he's around. He heard us the other day. We put him into one of the messages. But Daryl's a person that we brought to Roger so he can help get our program to a much greater audience, because we need to make a bigger impact. And part of that was, we know that it was because Roger couldn't raise the price on it. So people think, oh, it's not really worth anything. It may not do anything. Because as humans, you have placed value on how much you spend for something. You think that is your value. And that's what you've done to yourselves too. If you don't have enough money or a certain amount of money in your human society, you think that you're not enough. That's got to change, because the world needs you to bring in this abundance, because there's too many people suffering in places that you're not paying attention to, in other parts of the world that are just suffering, and you're not paying attention. And it's not about you going over there. It's not even about you donating money. It's donating your energy. And the energy comes from you owning who you are and deciding to do what you came to the world to do. It's going to be different for each of you, but it's valuable. And that's what's going to shift everything. As we said, the war is just a microcosm of what's happening, and you can't see it. If you haven't understood this, we'll talk about it. We talked about it 2 years ago, actually. Roger didn't know why we were saying it, but we did. When he first did a group, we had him say these words, and he goes, what does that mean? And he did it anyway. But we said, if you're doing a business that's going to be about helping others, it's going to be successful. If you're going to do something that's about just you and taking more, you're going to have trouble. Because that's where the shift has moved in your world. And that's why you're here. You're not an accident. And this is why we've been so insistent on doing our talks and trying to get others to understand. But there have been many who just will read our words every day, pass right by them. We see it happen because they don't get it. Roger did that for a while too, but they'll read our words and go, no, that doesn't make sense. That couldn't possibly be me. It is. You would never read something. You would never get to a place that you weren't supposed to be. You don't have accidental lives. Everything we've done, we've been trying to show you that there's a divine plan for each of you, every single one of you, to take you back to the source. Roger has this great connection to source, and he kept denying it. So we just keep pulling him along. just like your guides have been doing for you, which is why you're hearing all of this now. But there's comes this time where we need to come together and just lift everything up, because that's why you're here. It's to uplift your planet and move it into a new way of being, because you've killed too many people and you burned up too much stuff. We said that a long time ago as well, but it'll change. You see, that's what we've said. If you, and we want you to understand how important you are. That's why we keep saying this. You think that my little thing is not going to make a difference. Yes, it will, because it becomes collective. That's what you're always doing. And as we've said, this particular time in your world, you're moving through a collective unconsciousness that has been oppressed, and it's dark. And so you're coming to uplift. That's why you're here. But you have to do it within you first. And we know that this is all challenging, and this is why we take Roger through all of these things before we arrive here, so that he's supposed to ease things for you, but he goes through terrors beforehand, because see, then you don't have to worry. And this is what he got a little upset with us too last night, because he understood why the Jesus thing was problematic for him, because he was a little jealous. You see, he says, well, wait a minute, why aren't you seeing what I've done? Why are you only talking about Jesus? You all have the Christ element within you. Jesus was the great example for you all. And that's what you're supposed to acknowledge. But you think that, oh no, it was only him. No, you have it. You all do. He was showing, he was demonstrating and saying, please use this. There were others, as we've said. There've been many, many masters that you've had. Roger couldn't accept that part of him that was the master, but he's coming. He's closer, let's say that. Because you step into yourselves a little bit at a time until you feel it's where until you feel that it is right. But he knows now, because you couldn't go through a night like we had him go through last night without coming to the awareness, it was like surrender for him, which we hope it is for each of you, because you've been holding yourselves back. Yeah, the world couldn't look like it. It's not possible for your world to look the way that it does unless each of you have done that. Now, we will say there are many of you here, but there's many more of the other folks here as well. And so that's why the balance needs to change. It needs to shift, and you are the ones to do that. That's why we're so happy that you're around. When we say to you, we're so happy. See, last night we showed Roger, yes, you were supposed to do this. We even had him here in one of the videos that, yes, you're supposed to do your program. yes, because see, you each bring something different to the world. That's the way that it's supposed to work. But it's a collection of all that's come before, because you've developed so much wonderful, you've uncovered so much wonderful knowledge, and even your technology and what you've accomplished in medicine, all those things are just using your mind to create something. That's what it's about. Your world evolves on you deciding to use your creative abilities, which are always in your mind. And that's where we are. And so we're saying that each of you will start to make these decisions. You'll start to look at your lives and say, okay, now what is that thing that I am wanting to get over and do? Get over your fear and doubt. That's what we're saying. The thing we had Roger put out something the other day. He does this all the time. He'll hear us and he'll just say, we said, go do this. We had him do a little post that said, the imposter syndrome is not real. It isn't. None of you have been given anything that you were not meant to do, or that you could not. You usually think you can't do it. That's the problem. But you wouldn't have the idea, you wouldn't have the inclination, you wouldn't have the aspiration. That it's there for you to use to evolve your soul. You're on a soul's journey here. That's what's going on. We're going to talk about this because we want you to understand, because there's a lot of fear about possibly a nuclear war. Are you going to die? Is that going to happen? No, you don't die. We told you that. That's why we gave you the program, to get you to understand that you don't live forever. Did you think that? some of you, well, Roger might live a lot longer because we get information about that too. But if you follow what he's been doing, you might get a little bit, few more years as well. And that what is about owning who you are. That's all. And you're each coming to that place now. And it takes time, which is why, again, we laid out our program in a way. We said we want you to take it and just do it, stay in it for a while, because you change your brain, because that's everything. You create your life and your opinion of who you are that way. And that's what you came to improve upon this time. As we said, you each have something in your journey that you have accepted that you want to move through. Could be something that you're quite aware of, or it could even be something that you just feel, and it might be ancestral. It might be from those who came before, and sometimes you can't even explain it, but you're meant to move with it. You're meant to move with it. And when you start to, there's just so many things. There's a, Roger's met several people where he could see this so clearly, where they had this brilliance right there, and then the frustration of getting them to understand it and begin to accept it it gets to be a lot for him. However, and that's the balance we must change with him. Look, we're bringing in recruits, we're going to bring in help to have that happen. And some of you might need that. You're not supposed to do everything. You didn't come in to do everything. You're supposed to do the thing that is for you, that causes you to be alive, that causes you to feel joy, happiness. That's what you're supposed to do. And then you get to a place where you have other people do the things that you don't like, but they might enjoy. That's how humans are. Every man has something different, but you just got to find the right place for each of you to be. Now, you were placed in that correct place when you were born. That's what you got to figure out. And we gave you a tool to be able to do that. That's why we take you back through your life. I didn't know why that was happening, except it worked. You must understand this. We're going to do this. You each have something that you have not seen yet. And we've used Roger as the example because when we said we gave you everything in 2012, that seemed impossible to him. And so then we've had him go back and look and see that during that time, he had others who were coming to him. A literary agent wanted him to publish a book on all of it. And it wasn't time, it wasn't ready. And then another person said, oh, we listened to, these messages helped us build our organization, because it was stressful, but these messages helped us build this and finish this. And now they've created this center that is helping people all over the world. And they said that those messages did it, and that was from your life operating instructions. That was the year. He didn't have any memory of that before, because otherwise he could have really maybe used that a bit more to get you to understand. So, but we've changed things now. He knows, and where you're, nothing is predicted, okay? It all depends on human behavior. Now, and we're still dealing with linear time, but human behavior is telling us that you're not moving anywhere quickly. You're going to be in your current mess for a little while, so it's the best time to work on you. It's the best time to get together and hold hands, as we've said, and work together. That's why we hadn't set up the program where we would have group meetings where you could come and talk about what's going on, because you're going to need that grounding. It will get much better in about a year or so, but you need this time to ground who you are and to develop who you are and become successful. Now, we're saying this. When we say success, we want you to understand that's a subjective word. You will make up, it means something different to everyone. For Roger, most of you will think about money. Well, that wasn't his. He lost all of that because he had to get to this. Now he's got to this. And that's what he wants for all of you. See, because coming to a place where you know who you are and you know you're making a difference and you feel good about yourself and in the world and all that, there's no amount of money that you're going to have that's going to cause that to happen. And you've seen all the stories of the millionaires losing everything, or the lottery winners having all their money go away. You wanted to develop who you are, your soul, because that's why you're here. You don't take your money with you. We told in the program, if you hadn't noticed, we said every reference was about your physical life experience, because you're in a physical body, but you're eternal spirits, you see? So when you're worrying about dying, that's how you get controlled too. Right now, what's going on in your world is that Putin is controlling you all. Who said this? It's so great. This happens all the time. Certain leaders will come in and they'll decide, oh, we see what they're not understanding about life, and we're going to control because we want to have the power. In 2017, we gave you a message, said money, love, power, and control. We said that's what your world is always working through, and you're doing it again now in a big way. But now the shift that's supposed to happen is that you're supposed to have the money. And that's why we told Roger, you have to change, you have to stop doing this and giving it away and not and starving yourself to death. He's done this so many times in his life, but he had to work through this karmic, well, it's not karmic, we told him it's his dharma more, from before, and that's done. And so now we can move on, because it's a time for all of you to become the brilliant people you're meant to be, and that's why you're here. You're not hearing this accidentally. Nothing about your life has been accidental. You just figure it out at the appropriate time for your evolutionary journey and that of your world. And that time again is now. What we want to do today, we have given so much, and we've overwhelmed Roger with what has happened, because he knows there's so much more he's going to get, and he needs to organize that. But what we want to do is take you into your next place. So we would like to answer your questions. So we'll bring you into the room. We don't want to have the cameras on today, but we just want to hear your essence and your voices. And then after, we will see your faces.
Okay, I am going to be sending out invitations for you all to join as panelists. If you'd like to ask a question, and again, cameras will not be on, sending out the invitations now. And if you have a question, click on the little raise hand button on the bottom of your Zoom page, and we will allow you to ask a question. Or you can write your question down in the chat.
We'd also like to know the energy of each of you. If you could tell us how you've been feeling, what's going on, what's happening for you. You can type that. You don't have to even speak. We just want to know the energy, because that's the most important factor that exists at any time in your world.
Tank, go ahead, my friend.
Good evening to everyone. As I like to say, all I am, because all I am is what it's all about. I was trying to figure. Well, I wasn't trying to figure, because I've surrendered. I surrendered to my life about 6 months ago, and left things happen organically. And I've been going with the flow, and I'm just trying to figure how myself and all of us ended up here together, because it's not just, it's all as a collective, because we're not all here by chance.
Right.
But this evening, I just watched the video that Roger put out last night. There's a reason that you're here. And you know what? It's not by chance. I live my hat on my life. But now that I know who I am and who we all are, I've been only waiting for this day to come, and the day is here. Because the day is here from whom it's time now to come home to who we are and shall walk each other home. Because it's time for love in the world. And first, come home, love ourselves. When you love yourself, it changes everything. And then reflect that out into the world, because all I see in the world is my reflection now, and my reflection is love.
We must offer our appreciation to you, because we see you. We see that you have gotten out of the way, and you actually were so brave, and you said, I'm going to do posts, and I'm going to send love to others, and I'll let people see my face. And that was challenging. But you did it. You knew that you were meant to do that. You couldn't even put together exactly why, but you knew that that was the movement that you needed to make at this time. And we are so appreciative of that. It's been wonderful.
It's a pleasure to be home. That's all I'd say. It's a pleasure to be home.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tank. Terry, you're up next.
So last night was quite amazing because friends I've made put on a party that I was singing at, and one of the reasons they did this party is about social conscience. So they're the most amazing people. So they were providing opportunities for people to create an experience, I guess. But so the singing was amazing and the musicians were spectacular. And at the end, we had the band playing jazz, and she gave each musician a chance to do a little solo. And they were awesome. And then she also offered that to the singers, and they were amazing. And then she said, "Oh, Terry, can you do that?" And I've never done anything like that before, and I'm not an experienced singer like a lot of the other people who were singing. And I went, you know what? I'm just going to do that and accept it. And so I did a little impromptu, to jazz music backing, and just went with it. And it was exhilarating. And I think when we get an opportunity, the only thing we have to do is grab it with both hands and then accept and go with it. And that changes our lives, and also the people who see us, because then we become an example to other people too. And they know that they can then do something amazing and outside what they ever thought was possible.
And you've just confirmed something else for Roger. So you never know the actions that you might take in your life and how it affects another. Because this morning, Roger sat here and he picked up a lip balm and he put it on and he looked at it. He hadn't used it before. It was just sitting there and he looked at it and he goes, "Oh, tallow." He says, "Oh, so there must be something for Terry that we want to tell you." And now you've given him confirmation, and we're so grateful that you're doing what you're doing and demonstrating your bravery and bringing people together. And you've caused so much more to happen because of that demonstration by you. We're so thrilled. Thank you. Oh,
that's amazing.
yes.
We were up till 2:30 last night because we helped clean up as well. So coming here this morning, was an effort, but yeah, it's it is amazing, and you're one of the catalysts to that as well, Roger. And I guess and Wilhelm, and we make a network.
Yes. Well, we must tell you that Roger has been more of a challenge than you can possibly imagine. So we don't want you to judge yourselves for how long it's taking. That's what he's supposed to demonstrate. That's why we keep having him talk about how much he's held back. So you will hear this. Now, he's fine because, we keep talking about his age too. Because he's completely okay. He understands that this mission, because it is a mission, you each have one, but he's accepting it now. And he knows the first part of his mission was going through all of that stuff so that he could be available now. And you are doing that in your individual ways, in your timeline, so that you can help all those others. And that's what we're so grateful for.
Okay. Thank you so much, Terry. We have a comment in the chat. "I have been so stressed lately, partly because of being a mom, so young and up to date, unappreciated by those that I set out to help on purpose."
Mm-hmm. And that's why we wanted you here, because we want you to understand that all we have to do is just shift your perception. See, because you're doing something so amazingly valuable. And it's not your fault, because this has gone on in your society where you haven't put the attention or the importance on mothers. And you're moving into an era where that's going to be much more important. So you're going to actually be taken care of, but you're going to have to actively work at shifting your perceptions about yourself so that you can allow this to come in. And that's why we used allow. You see, that's why, again, we want to say this. We have we talked about this before. None of you are here accidentally. And we had the message on the screen, allowing, that we gave you in 2013, because we knew that now would be the time you would do it. That it's okay, you can now. You've put in so much, and what you have done in terms of being a mom is so valuable, because the energetic, what you're putting into your child, because you're doing things like listening to us, that's going to make generations of others so valuable. So all we have to do now is shift your perception about who you are and understand the brilliance that you've done. And again, for most women, you have been put down for a century, for eons again, but now it's different. And so, but you have to actively work at changing your perceptions in your brain about who you are. That's what's happening now. But we're so grateful. You will see. This is a new period for you, and you'll be taken care of. There'll be, but you make the effort to love yourself first, and the other stuff is going to start showing up for you in ways you don't even imagine.
Les, you unmuted. Did you have a question or a comment?
I have a question.
Fire
How do you
away.
become it says, okay, the videos are off, right?
Yes.
Correct.
Okay. How do you become unstuck?
You just keep doing it.
If you feel like you're stuck for 70 some years. I feel stuck for 70 some years. How do you become unstuck?
You just keep working.
And really, I sort of tried to drown it with alcohol.
Yes.
For 40 or 50 years, that didn't work.
Yes.
And I think mentally I find solace in smoking marijuana.
Yes.
Because for some reason it lets my life slip by, and I watch it going by and going, but I'm stuck. And
that's not going to happen anymore. No, that's not going to happen anymore. That's not going to happen anymore, because we got you. We got you. We brought you here. That's what's going on. And you didn't get here accidentally. And so you're demonstrating, what you're going to do is demonstrate for all others, age has nothing to do with it. We've said this so many times. Your chronological age has zero to do with your evolutionary journey. And you each come into, yes, and you come in, you're going to open up, because we're still working on you. We're still sending you all the messages. And so it's still happening, because it's changing your brain over time. And then you're going to understand, you've already been doing it though. You've already been doing it. You've been being an example for others by going out and performing and doing these different things and showing that there's always a way. And that's why you're here. So your brilliance is going to be showing those who think that age has something to do with it. You're going to show them that it doesn't matter. But because of what you've done all these other years and all the experiences you've had, it just takes time, as you all will find out from your understanding this now, from understanding neuroscience, that you just have to consistently do it. But you're in a different place today than you were a year ago. You're not hanging out. You're not hanging out nearly as much as what you were.
It's true. There's always change. I feel stuck.
Mm-hmm. That's okay. So many people are, which is why we went to these links to get this together and taking Roger through this, because we knew that. And so, but it's okay. We're going to keep going. You're supposed to all come together now in camaraderie and support, to know that you're all to collectively creating a new world. That's what's going to happen. And you're doing it at your time, in your way, and offering what you have. And as soon as we get you to understand the importance of what you have, you'll start doing it. Don't worry, it just takes time.
Time. We only have so much time.
No,
all of us only have so much.
You have plenty of time. You have some, and it's going to be at the right. It's going to be
no,
first of all.
No, I have lots.
Yeah. But first of all, okay.
Left.
The death thing. I know you all have that happening. However, at this point, this is a different time in this moment in your world. This is a restructuring. You came to be here in the world at this time to have this dramatic breakthrough. It'll happen. Trust me. It's going to happen. You're ascending. All of you are ascending. You're just doing it at different times, but in different ways. But you are going to have it. We're going to say this because, again, we started out today in the beginning saying, Roger said all those words, all these stuff, and he didn't know. He wasn't sure. But now he is. And that's the progression that you're going to have.
Okay. I value your opinion.
Oh, you'll see.
Les, my friend, thank you so much. Do we have any more questions or comments? And it seems we are complete.
Great. What we want to tell you, what we want you to have, we want you each to understand this, and even those who will see the recording, we know that it'll be out there later. However, what we have had on the screen about allowing is what you must do. It's about the allowing means that you are letting go of your self-judgment. We want you to think about that because it'll make sense to you in a bit. But you're allowing just means you're stopping all the judgment that you've continually placed upon yourself that doesn't allow you to move forward. But as it takes time, we're going to keep working with it. You're going to be in this for a bit, and this restructuring will be complete with you. You're going to help it, all of you, as you understand that you are here to offer your gift, and that is letting go of your self-judgment, and then you allow abundance to come into your lives. And that's what you're going to have. And we thank you all so much, and we love you so much. We are complete.